Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to install Ubuntu Linux on your computer. So first of all, to install Ubuntu Linux, you need to download it from the official site. So we're going to Ubuntu. Official website is ubuntu.com. And here we see the button Get Ubuntu. Of course we need Ubuntu Desktop if we want to use it on our computer, because we also have some different releases like Ubuntu Server, but for needs we need only Ubuntu Desktop. And here we see two releases, 20.04 and 20.10. 20.04 is a long-term support distro, so this means that it will be supported for 5 years till April 2025. And 20.10 release only supported for 1 year, so I think we will try to download long-term support distro. System requirements are not very heavy. We need dual-core processor, 4 gigs of memory, and a hard drive. So we are going to download it. We have some certificate issue here. I don't know why, but we're accepting risk and downloading our file. It's ISO file. So let's save it. And let's wait a little till it will be downloaded. So okay, our file is downloaded now. So let's try to use it in a Virtualbox. So first of all, let's create a new virtual machine. Let's call it, for example, Ubuntu Linux Ubuntu 64 bits. Okay. But memory, let's use 4 gigs as was recommended. And let's create a new virtual hard drive. I think I have a folder with a similar name, so I will rename it to Ubuntu 20.10. But in your case it won't be matter, maybe. Okay, and I select different place for my virtual hard drive. But you can leave it as it was. And let's set 25 gigs, as was recommended also. Okay, 26 will be okay. Now we create the virtual machine, and we can try to start it. Now we need to select our ISO file, which we downloaded from Ubuntu website. Okay, here we have our file, and we need to choose it. And now we can start our machine. So now we see that our disk is loading. Okay, now our disk is successfully checked, and we will load now Ubuntu Live System, I think. And now we have choice to try Ubuntu or to install it. So I think first of all, if you never have any experience with Linux systems, you can try a live system without any installation, and you can look and check all functions and possibilities of such kind of operating systems. So now let's click try. And okay, our live system is loaded. Let's try to change the display resolution. Let's try, for example, this one. Let's skip changes and make our Virtualbox full screen. It's almost fitting our display, so it will be okay. So now we can look at software which is available on Ubuntu Linux. First of all, as you can see, there's a browser, Mozilla Firefox, also a mail reading program, Thunderbird Mail, music player, Box, and also LibreOffice, where we have LibreOffice Writer, which is an alternative of Microsoft Word, LibreOffice Calc, which is alternative of Microsoft Excel, and LibreOffice Impress, which is an alternative of Microsoft PowerPoint. Also, we have a few games like Mahjong and Mines, some text editor, even torrent client, and of course video player and file manager. So we have all basic software which can be used for start to work with Ubuntu. And of course we have Ubuntu Software Center where we can download any software we needed. Of course from those which is available for Ubuntu. So you can try systems this way, but okay, our video was about installation of Ubuntu. So now we can install it. So now we have restarted our virtual machine, and now we will choose install Ubuntu. Here we need to choose our keyboard layout. We can choose here from different layouts which are available in distribution. Here we can also detect our keyboard layout by typing a few words, and we also can test our keyboard layout. But I leave it as the default English United States. Continue. Here we can choose which apps we are going to install with our Ubuntu Linux. Normal installation includes web browser utilities and some office software, and of course few games and media players. Minimal installation includes only web browser and few basic applications. We can also choose download updates while installing Ubuntu Linux, and we also need to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware, and of course additional media formats, because for example MP3 codec isn't open source software, so it will be included in third-party software. Let's continue. Okay, now we need to choose how to use computer disk. Default choice is erase all disk and install Ubuntu. And there's another choice, something else, where we can make our disk partitions manually. but default choice is a little dangerous because it will erase all disk, so all data which is stored on your disk will be lost. But here we are using a virtual machine, so we don't have any data on our new virtual disk, so we can choose it. But on a real computer, it's not a good choice. So here we need to confirm that we are going to repartition our disk and write changes on it. And now one of the last steps is to choose our location and time zone. I will choose Kiev. And the last step, we need to write our name, username, computer's name, and also we need to create a password. Password must be strong for your account, and you need to remember it, because if you lose it, it will be hard to recover it. So here we see hint, weak password, fair password, good password. I will not be creating a very good password for my virtual machine, but if you will use it for a real computer or laptop, you need a good password to protect your data. Of course, here we can also choose will we log in automatically or password will be required for login every time. I will choose login automatically on our virtual machine. And now installation process started. Here you can see installation progress and which stage of installation now. For example, now we can see copying files, and we also can see detailed log of our installation process. And while installation is going, we can see promo slides of Ubuntu Linux. Here we see promo about music software, about customization possibilities in Ubuntu Linux. On this slide we can see information about internet possibilities of Ubuntu Linux, possibilities about photo and video editing, and of course help and support. Ubuntu Linux has a big community, so it's always possible to ask questions on forums, and in most of cases you will get answer. Okay, and now our installation process is completed, and we need to restart our virtual machine. And we need now to eject our ISO image, which we used for Ubuntu installation. We can do it from menu, remove disk from virtual drive. Let's wait until Ubuntu asks us for removing disk and eject it. Okay, now we need to press enter and our virtual machine is rebooting. Let's use guest editions CD image to install Virtualbox drivers. Okay, now we'll boot into our installed Ubuntu Linux system, and it's almost ready to work. Okay, we see that our Virtualbox guest edition CD mounted successfully, and we also see welcome message, which asks us to connect some online accounts, but we skip it. Live patch, we also skip for now. We don't need it. Help to improve Ubuntu. Okay, let's leave it yes. And next, we are ready to go. But we still need to install our Virtualbox guest editions. So let's go to Virtualbox guest editions CD and let's take a look on files which we have here. We need to use run script, but here we don't have an option to run binary file. So we need to use a terminal here. So we choose an open in terminal for our folder. And let's type the name of our script. You can type first few letters of script name and then press a tab key, and autocomplete function will write a full name. But it only works if there isn't any other files which starts from those letters you type. Another way, it will show only a list of files, and you need to type few more letters. Okay, and here we see that we don't have all packages which are needed for installing VirtualBox guest editions. So let's now install them. So let's type such command. Package installer shows us that it will be 93 megabytes and ask for confirmation. So let's type Y and enter. And now installation begins. Let's wait a little. So now we need to run our previous script with VirtualBox guest editions again. But of course, you don't need to type that command again. You can find it in command history by pressing up arrow. All commands which you are typing in your terminal are saved in command history, and you can use it to find in commands which are not so easy to type. And you found a notification from software updater. We installed system, but we have few updates now. But I think we ask it to remind later. So our installation is going. And now our installation is finished. And we need to reboot our system. So let's choose power off. And then restart. Okay, we rebooted our system. And let's try to change our screen resolution. If VirtualBox guest editions are set up correctly, we can use shared folders from machine settings. Here you can add, for example, some folder from our computer and pass it to virtual machine. Let's select folder and let's select read only and auto mount. And here we need to write a mount point. And now let's take a look at our mount point. Let's choose other locations, computer, MNT, and N-Drive. Now we need to use our user password, and we connected our drive to mount point. You can use such mount points as read-only or as read-write. Now we also with guest editions can use shared clipboard and drag and drop. And by toggling auto resize guest display, we can change our screen resolution so that it will match size of Virtualbox window. And resolution will be set it up automatically. We even don't need to change it manually. It's really a cool feature of Virtualbox. So now let's take a look at web browser and software center. So our web browser loaded successfully. Let's try to use it. Let's open some simple website. For example, DuckDuckGo. As you can see, website is working correctly. And now let's take a look at Software Center. We can see that in tab Updates we have notifications. So we have some software to update. Let's do it. Unfortunately, on Explore tab we see no information, but maybe we will get it after updating. So let's wait until. Okay. Updates installing, I think, don't help us with fixing Explore tab. So I think we need to use some hack to fix this. So for fixing this, no application data found, we need to go to System Settings and Region and Language Settings. And we need to change our system language. For example, I change it to Ukrainian, but you can just switch between English United States and English United Kingdom, for example. And we need to restart our system. So let's restart it. And now let's take a look at our software center. And now we have a catalog of software which we can install. Yeah, there's a lot of software from different categories. I accidentally changed my language to Ukrainian, so now all categories here are written in Ukrainian, but you can switch back to English if you choose another language, and all categories will become in English. Most of software here is free and open source, so you can just install and use it. And let's customize a little our installation. Let's change a desktop background. For example, let's choose this one. I think it looks pretty good. So I think that's all for this video. In next videos I'll show you how to work in Ubuntu Linux, how to work with terminal, how to work with some utilities. I will make a short review of software for different purposes which are used in Linux systems. But for today, that's all. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Bye.